Hello and welcome back. Have you ever heard of the name Mr. Hadden Clark? I bet some of you know his name. He was nicknamed Cross-Dressing Cannibal and allegedly known for murdering 6-year-old Michelle and 23-year-old Harvard graduate Laura. Today, I would like to talk about this Mr. Hadden Clark's case, which I happen to miss putting in the list of my prison friends, videos. First, I would like to talk about briefly about what kind of things he did allegedly, and I would tell you what he really is in person from my personal exchanges. And lastly, I would like to talk about what we could learn from this case. Okay, my name is Dr. Samurai, an international social pathologist. I am doing this minute lecture video class to make a big global network to make the world better and safe for little kids and for greens and for animals. Okay, that's enough. Like I said, Mr. Hadden Clark is known cross-dresser, wearing like women's clothings. And in addition to that, if you hear, he killed 6-year little girl and 23-year innocent Harvard graduate girl. It is clearly difficult for you not to have negative image. Mr. Hadden was actually born between his father and not, his legal wife. Long time ago, because Christianity, like a Protestant, was much deeply into American society, it was unforgiven to have affairs with other females. So it was a big shame for his father, who was kind of well known and powerful in the community. So listen to this. Mr. Hadden was registered as a son of his brother's family. Okay, so his older brother was registered as his father. It is kind of confusing. So his brothers or his cousins, you know what I'm talking about? His older brother was registered Hadden's father. But anyway, he was born out of wedlock, so it was not safe to keep him in the same community, especially to his father. So Hadden was placed in female boarding school. This is the kind of thing that I still do not understand. Might possibly, though, it could have been school for a little bit, you know, having intelligence problems kids, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was a boarding school for girls. So he was placed right among all the other, little girls, elementary school girls. So it's kind of natural to imagine why he felt comfortable wearing female clothing even after he became adult. Okay? I don't know why, but I think his brother didn't want to take care of him as his kid. So he used to be called by everybody retard. Can you believe this? He kept being called retard until I think 6 or 8 years old. So Hadden confessed to me that he thought his real name was retard. It was a terrible story, you know. But, I have been in correspondences with him for not 10 years, but close to 10 years now. He loves writing, sometimes giving me 30-page long letters. But anyway, his parents, actually older brothers, they all use drugs and smoke cigarette and drink alcohol, and it was not a good environment for Hadden to grow up. So it was kind of good thing for him to be sent to this girls boarding school, and he really enjoyed that boarding school. He learned many things like hand signs and stuff like that. All those Girl Scouts do. He learned at that boarding school. Growing older, although in the process, he, of course, met many bullies because he wore his hair long, being a boy and things. So he encountered many molestations and sexual abuse and physical abuse and stuff like that. But he was very good at hand skills. So he learned how to cook and how to make cakes and stuff like that. So in the end, he was able to live on his hand skills as being a chef or either a pastry chef. But I kind of guess you're thinking, where does those two murders of girls come into this cross-dressing, male's life, right? Being called a retard until 8 years old and stuff, you could imagine bullied life was normal things to him. So he was very good at not feeling anything about those tiny, subtle attacks. He can live like a hermit, meaning that without associating with anybody else, he can live happily on his own, doing his own thing. Okay, let's go like this. Starting with the murder of Michelle, 6-year-old girl in the neighborhood. Okay? I always can ask him anything. He was called a retard for a long time, right? So the Michelle's father, Hadden's neighbor, told Michelle, 6 years old, to go to Hadden and call him retard, just to tease and make fun of him. And the little girl, without knowing anything, did what his father told her to do. And she came up to Hadden and called him retard and, laughed at him and stuff like that. But he didn't feel comfortable about it. Even little girl, calling him retard, right? So, according to him, he put Michelle in his car's trunk and took her to his secret home and placed her in a cellar, which nobody knows there was, right? And Michelle was duct taped on her mouth and hands and legs and stuff like that. That was bad, but I think he was angry, right? And he left her there thinking that he would come back in the evening of the same day. Maybe bring in some food or water or stuff like that. But by the time, it became such a big deal and so many police cars, were running around the secret house and stuff like that. So he said to me he couldn't go back to that house. So when he finally could, a few days later, she was dead because she couldn't even drink water. That was what really happened. But based upon the web information, they say there was like a alphabet Z shape cut and carved into Michelle's back and stuff like that. I directly asked Hadden whether he did it or not, and he said no, it was just all made up to make the story fun. He never did things like that. Just came back and found out Michelle died of thirst. That seems to be the truth. Anyway, according to Hadden. What about Laura, though? Laura was, I think at the time, 23 years old. And just the age appropriate to graduate from university, right? And she was a very smart girl who went to Harvard. And Hadden told me he was working for Laura's mother, Penny, and living in the same house. And I think they had some kind of sexual relationship too. And he took care of those things around the house and get paid for it. Like not custodians, but taking care of repairing things and cutting trees and stuff like that, right? And when Laura graduated and came back home, she found out her place was taken by Hadden. So she was kind of mad and planned some kind of secret attempt to push Hadden out of her house. But, this is the point that you have to understand. Although he could block all those, subtle bullying and stuff, of course, when it was very bad and aggressive, he responded indirectly by killing that bully's pets and stuff like that. But he never directly, did a payback because he was not that strong physically. But anyway, raised under such a oppressive environment which he himself couldn't have control of, he had very strong obsession to his possessions. This is true. Even tiny money or his shoes or things, he has very strong possessive tendencies. So now he is very angry at Laura, who is trying to push him out of his cozy living space with her mother. So he told me he talked about it with Laura's brother to cooperate with Hadden. One night, he came back and went into Laura's room. Used duct tape again by threatening a knife and stuff like that, and said, before that, he said that he used electric shaver to cut Laura's beautiful long hairs into not a skinhead, but bald head, right? He goes like this to Laura: "Swear on the Bible, you are not Laura, but I am the Laura." He loved that position as being Laura at her mother's house, because he told me many times that Laura's clothing size was just the size of his, so he could wear anything of Laura's: shoes and underwears and skirts and jackets and anything. And after he shaved Laura's hair, according to him, he put the duct tape, but the duct tape accidentally covered her nasal cavity too. Hadden said the cause of death of Laura was because he could not breathe. The duct tape misplaced over her nasal cavity. So it was very different from what is on web information. But I was not there. But Hadden never lied to me. Like I said, he loved answering my questions, and he even drew a map that where he buried dead bodies and stuff like that. I'm sorry if you felt uncomfortable, but he, drew a street map, and this is a church, and this is what, and this is where I buried the body of those two and stuff like that. So I do not think Hadden was telling me a lie. To me, it's dubious that Hadden used a knife and stabbed her to death. I have a hunch that it was also a made up, but I cannot conclude though. Although, no matter what kind of reason, they were unforgivable offense, like killing a 6-year-old girl and 23-year-old college graduate, even if it was by accident. But the image was a lot different. Like some website says, he even ate a part of the girls and stuff like that. He clearly denied doing that. I thought at the time that I have to be very careful when I take information from a website. We have to be very critical to believe what is true and what is fake. At least I could understand what was the cause of those two murders. Regarding Michelle, he was angry because that kind of little girl called him retard. And regarding Laura, he was extra angry because she tried to remove him from the place he loved so much, where he could take everything to his like. I at least understood there was cause and effect in those two murders. What I like to discuss is over these two murder cases. Most of his writings to me, telling me each one of sexual abuse and molestation and stuff like that conducted by adult females. That's one major thing that he writes to me. Sometimes this kind-looking couple invited him for a Halloween party or Christmas, and after that they used him like a sex toy. Some husband and wife were both there and used him as some kind of tool for their sexual excitement or whatever. There were so many cases of sexual abuses, not 10, not 20, way more. So the reason I wanted to put up this video was rather what is really going on in American society, hidden from the beautiful surface. I know America is a country that approves using guns, and they indirectly approves violences, right? That's what my gang friend says. You know, all those violent movies with guns and AK-47 and machine guns and stuff like that, they are what the kids see all the time, like a normal thing. So that is playing a part in them choosing the violent path of becoming gangs. And one person indirectly insinuated that probably they're, showing those violent movies to promote recruitment into the army and stuff like that. I'm not sure whether it is true or not. But parallel to those open violence, I found out there's this secret violence and sexual violence going on by females hidden under society. Some doctors used hypnosis and even put iron made a brush, like to wash glass pipe and stuff. Some put that into his penis, and when he bleeded because with pain, he was treated like he had menstrual period, stuff like that. It was kind of so sick to read. I kind of think because Hadden loved to look like female, he was way more approachable by females with aggression inside. So they can do things that they cannot do with the masculine husband. I kind of felt there's this strong sexual frustration and aggressions stack up in American females, especially those who are married. That I could tell from Hadden's letters, and it was very informative for me to understand what is really going on. I don't think that it covers everything, but I know it was partly true, because he is known to have killed little girl. He was placed in protective custody, but that area originally designed for security of those who had some special weak backgrounds, like defected from gang groups and stuff like that. Even in the PC, Hadden says he is not safe. He one time was placed with someone who was instructed to kill him as his cellmate. I was kind of surprised, and how to survive living with his enemies so close within the same cell. But at the time he although looks not sharp like gangsters, he is very smart and knows how to pay back without being noticed. That I can tell you. You know, he took care of all those schemes completely on his own. Also, what I wanted to know was why he wants to wear female clothing and stuff like that. Obviously, he is not gay or anything. He is not into homosexual sex. Although he was molested and sexually abused by males so many times, he's not interested in men. But why he wanna wear? He wanna cross dress, and I think, it comes from his upbringings at that boarding school for girls. When it happens, when the person is really, really young, it goes deeply into the person's nature. He was taught to use bathroom by sitting, was never allowed to take pee standing, and stuff like that. So it was all natural to wear like female. And one other thing I wanted to understand was he seems to be enjoying this different identity of being female. One time he told me he was wearing like a female officer, and this other lady with whom he was getting laid, she was an officer, and she arranged all those, female IDs and uniforms and everything for Hadden. So he could pass for being an army officer, even at the security point. And he told me how exciting it was when he was able to pass as female officer. The guard not noticing at all he was a guy. But I was wondering why he enjoys such a special habit of cross-dressing. And in time, it came to me. You know why? Because without being true himself, he could do things he cannot do as his true identity. You understand what I'm saying? Like actors. I use that word to him in the letter to him. You like being treated like a real woman because what you cannot do as being a guy. And he said yes. It was like actor. He can enjoy something different based upon fake identity. Although he even got a shot of estrogen, female hormone, not by himself, but his, I think, father, his older brother, right, forced him to take one. I don't think he wanted to go so far, but do understand what I'm talking about. And that is partly why so many violent incidents happens in America. Not only in America, but America is advanced in that direction than other countries. Like all those, you know, songs, popular music sung by female singers, they are colored by such a strong sexual desires. That is not yet happening in Japan, but it will happen pretty soon, you know, because Japan is following America's steps. But I like to say society is made by female. You know why? Because females are the ones who raise kids. So if females are happy and content, the society will be safe society when their kids grow up. But when females are oppressed, frustrated, and under stress, and embracing this secret anger, that goes to kids, not to the husband. And that is going to grow aggressive kids when they get older. I partly understood why there were so many serial killers and mass murders in advance of other countries in America. Because of this violence apparently shown outside by males, females have to kill their true feelings and crush their true desires. That could turn into anger very easily because discomfort makes you aggressive. So if we really like to make society safe, we have to satisfy females. We have to meet their desires. That's one major approach to make safer society. I would like to hear from you how you think about this. I am kind of sad not to receive comments and stuff like that. And also, I would keep uploading various types of videos. Now I have 5, like prison frenzies and dictators and social issues, reunify with nature, and wise words. But whichever topic I choose, I would like to come up with something positive that we could use for our life and to make our lives a little better. So I would like to make a global network. So please be my friends and comrades and colleagues by subscribing to my video lectures, and let's make this world better. Okay, thank you very, very much, and up until next time, have a wonderful time. Bye bye now.